Guys, what I do on this platform, what I love to do is to bring people on so they can share their story and give their perspective on various topics. And today it's no different. I have my newfound friend. She goes by I Am Free King on social media, but her name is Free. Free, welcome to Life Coaching by Mel. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well today. Thank you.
We're going to start. I'm going to allow a little space here. I've heard a little bit of your story, and I thought that would be great for our audience to hear. A lot of things I've talked about on this channel so far has been as a divorcee myself that has faced rejection. I have a heart out for those who are divorcees. So I don't want to give it away. You have an amazing story. I would like you to share that yourself. The floor is yours, Free.
Um, Thank you so much, Mel, for connecting with me and inviting me up today. We actually connected on another content creators platform. It was the lead attorney, and I
Right.
had been watching him, and I went up and had some questions about how to pretty much peacefully have my ex-husband removed from the home. And a lot of people go about it in a manner that's detrimental to the man. And I did not want to do that. I just wanted to find some nice ways to have that done. And they did. They tore me up in the comment section. But after I got over the feelings of what people were saying, I understood it, the importance of doing it peacefully so that we could still have a peaceful relationship because we do have a child. After that, I know you reached out to me. I was in the middle of what I would call a tumultuous divorce. But it all started, and I can sum it up, my whole marriage, divorce, and I feel like I'm at the tail end of my healing process. I was always his, but he was never really mine. Um, he just wasn't. I'm coming from, the typical single parent household. My parents were married when they had myself and my brothers. They were married young and got divorced. So, I, being a child of divorce, ignored the red flags in our relationship. I did not deal with my rejection and abandonment. Even though I grew up around a really good family and they nurtured us the best they could and they poured into us, kept us in church. I'm gonna be honest, I went to mission meeting, choir practice, choir rehearsal, sung in the choir. We just, we're Southern, we're from Alabama. So they were building that foundation within me. Great grandma and grandma taught me how to cook. Mom taught me how to clean, sew, quilt, all these beautiful things to be a homemaker. And after I graduated college, I was with my ex-husband the whole time off and on. I went, okay, I've done it all. I've done the school. I've got a good job. Now it's time to get married. And I just ignored all the red flags during that time with him. I accepted a lot of things that were beneath me. And I say that with caution because did not establish what was beneath me. I did have gentlemen in my life that were pursuing me for a serious romantic relationship and marriage outside of him, especially when we were on our offs instead of the ons. And the way they treated me is how I know that I accepted things beneath what the standard for gentlemen was at that time. Very nice, open doors, um, want to take things slow, don't want to rush it, get to know you, build and establish a life with you. Those were the things that I saw in other gentlemen, but I just ignored the red flags because I haven't faced at that time my healing. I haven't faced the rejection. I didn't face the abandonment. And I drove towards something and someone who I wanted them way more than they wanted me. And if I was healed or at least on a healing journey at that point in time, I don't believe this would happen. I did have wise counsel. I had friends, I had family, I had everyone telling me maybe you should wait a year. Even after the mother of his two children, one did not live, his oldest son did not live, but the daughter did. The mom called when she was 5 months pregnant. 3 days before our wedding at the officers club at the local Air Force base. We're 15, almost $20,000 into the wedding. Just tell me she's 5 months pregnant.
Mm.
I still ignored it and went forward because I did not value myself and I wasn't healed on the inside. I was a Christian. I believed in Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, still do, but it had not been activated at the level that it is now within me. And I did not, I, I thought I could, change the situation. Oh, I thought I could win. I'm gonna get him. Yeah, you might be the mother of his first two children, but he's gonna marry me. I I just wanted someone who just was never really mine. And I would say I did make poor decisions based on not being healed from things that I probably could have been healed with if I just paid more attention. I submitted to him again. That's what I was taught. I was taught to be a career woman and a homemaker. I grew up that way. I don't know if people grow up that way now, but I was taught to do both, to balance both, to seek assistance from your husband. If your husband says, "Okay, I want you to, take a part-time job, raise the kids. I don't want you to work." I had all the building blocks and the foundation in order to either have a career or be a homemaker or a blend of the two. And to submit, not in the derogatory sense that people give it now, but to just learn the give and take of submitting and the balance and the peace of the home. And when you submit, in my experience, to someone who is not ready for the responsibility of someone that is willing and able to do that, it just doesn't work. um I just tried the whole marriage to please him. Things constantly adjusted. The support, just no matter what I did, everything became my fault. Whether I helped, whether I didn't help, no, whether my attitude was great, whether I was soft and demure, whether I was kind, and no matter what I did, everything became my fault. And I got angry because I went, someone who loves me wouldn't do this. And I remember a conversation a few years ago. Um, I did try to walk away from the marriage in 2020. And I'm going to be honest, a lot of attorneys during that time, they were not doing divorces unless you were absolutely sure, because the attorneys I went to really felt like it was the pandemic and us being in the house together. And I felt like my voice wasn't being heard when I said, it's more than this. This is a decision that I came to. That's a hard decision. I'm losing myself. I'm losing the essence of who I am. All these beautiful things, the men and women up to my life at this point in time have poured into me. This person is disappearing and I don't want to lose her. Wasn't able to get a divorce. I told him, and it's like he just doubled down. Things got worse. It became a, how dare you try to leave me? Then it became, he did try to save the marriage in what would be his attempt. We did counseling. It took me a very long time to explain to the counselor and to break through to her, for her to realize you're being charmed by charisma. This is a completely different story. All she saw was my reactions to things going on with him. And it broke my heart because I felt like I did not have a voice. My family was still very supportive, and I have to really give them credit because they never stepped in as far as physically telling me what I should and should not do. They just supported me. They just loved on me when I came home. They constantly pushed for me, take a break. If you need time away, we'll take care of your son. We'll babysit. They did everything they could, and they allowed me the space to come to it on my own and not make the decision for me, because they knew I have a lot of family members that work in the medical field, the mental health field, and a lot of professional careers. They've seen where people try to leave and don't. So they knew how to support me in a situation where I wanted to leave, but I wasn't sure because I felt like, okay, God, this is a marriage. And He's constantly revealing to me, this is what you wanted. This is not what I wanted you to have. Whenever you're done and you're ready, you'll be fine. You just have to make the decision. And so, shortly after counseling, in 2020 over into 2021, things, they just declined. And so I decided to make a radical move in my career and living situation, because to me, I felt like if I did not move and change jobs, that I would lose who I am completely, and I would not be any good physically, mentally, spiritually to myself, which means I wouldn't be no good to my son, to our son, the gift that he gave us through the marriage. And so when everything settled, I tried very hard, even in counseling. I tried to help him understand, you don't need, you don't want me, you don't care for me, you don't. I'm not going to say he didn't love me. I think he loved the idea of me, because once I went through my healing journey, I realized I love the ideas of us, what we could have been, and not the reality of what we were. Um, I started my healing journey in 2020 once I finally went to individual counseling instead of couples counseling. Um, Last year, I can remember him asking me, do I even respect myself, in an argument that we were having? And I don't know how anyone else feels, but we think we respect ourselves. When someone asks you, do you even respect yourself? I had to give a true answer. I said, I don't know. I don't believe so. And he said, you have a real problem if you don't know. And I remember telling him, if I don't, when I learn to, our whole life is going to change. And I don't know if we're going to be together.
Hmm.
And he just, did like he normally does, dismissed it, walked off. And when I finally learned to respect myself and love myself afterwards, and really face, okay, he wants the benefits of this marriage. He does not want you. He does not spend time with you. He does not put any time and finances and protection and anything into the home. He literally comes, and it's a roommate situation, even to the point where I know some women kick their husbands, boyfriends out of the bedroom. I did not. He left on his own over a year and a half before we got divorced. And to me, that was the thing that showed me it's really over. And I didn't base any of my decisions to leave him based on a lot of the superficial things people see in the news, in the media, and in their friend groups, and in families, and just everywhere now. I based it on, I said I was only going to do this once. I've tried so hard. This person is not mine, and they never was mine. I was always his, but he's really not mine, and he's going to continue to show me this. I have to stop getting angry. I have to stop getting emotional. I have to get to a place of peace with this and let it go, because it has to go in order for me to truly heal, come back to the version of myself that is better at this point in time with these circumstances, in order to live for myself, my purpose that God has put me on this earth for, the people He has put me just in my sphere of the people who I encounter. I have to be some good to them. I have to heal. I have to move forward, no matter how afraid I am. I stopped being ashamed of being a divorcee. I stopped being ashamed of being a single mom, because God provided everything in order for me to not have to worry about life after marriage. So once I got peace with that and accepted it, I I filed for divorce. Now there were some tragic things with health and family members on his side, and sometimes we look into signs and situations when things happen, and we go, okay, God, if I just stay a little longer, he is there. There's a really important family member that's ill right now that I deeply cared for. I should just stay and support him. And I had to make the decision: do I stay and support someone who clearly just does not want anything to do with this, just wants somewhere to come to rest, to recharge after the world has taken from him and he's given of himself to the world to just basically eat, shower, and leave, just to leave us alone again? Do I support this person even though they're going through a tough time at my own detriment? Or do I say, I'm sorry this is happening, but I have to proceed with the divorce, because if I don't, I'm not gonna be any good use to myself. And so I proceeded. It got very, very ugly. It got worse before it got better. Um, I had to really lean on not really talking in the home, just trying not to trigger him so he wouldn't trigger me, try not to have things happen in front of our son. Several instances happened to where things were said by him that later on, when I could talk to him, I said, this wasn't right. This is going to hurt our son deeply. We have to be careful in this. He just didn't participate. The divorce was reflective of the marriage. He put me through hell in the marriage, and he just was standoffish. He just didn't really participate. And in the divorce, he was not cooperative. He didn't participate. And it pretty much came down to me standing alone. Myself, it was three of us in the courtroom: me, the attorney, and the judge, and that was it. He did not want to move out. I was trying my best to be peaceful. He did not want to move out. And I was quiet and I waited. And the day he did move out, it was actually a sick day from work. And I said, hey, you know, when you come home, let's take a text. Can we talk about the resources for you to move out, what you need? I know it's going to take something. I'm not saying leave, you be on the street. Let's figure out what it takes for you to move on, and let's figure out how to make it happen between the two of us. He got upset, he got offended, and he packed all his things and left. And a part of me was like, is that all it took? And another part of me was like, I finally get the clean break. It finally happened. Um, he's on his healing journey. He's actually doing well as far as career, places to live, relationship with our son. I'm I'm gonna be honest. I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for this, but I wanted very little in the divorce. I wanted less than the state minimum. State of Alabama, um, child support, this, that, and other. I didn't want his retirement. I didn't want any money from him, and I wanted nothing outside of the state mandated child support, because I said it's more important for him and me to get along, and him to be able to communicate with me, even though we really don't. We communicate through family members. It was more important for me to make sure he has a relationship with his son, our son, because I can't be a father. Our son needs his father. I didn't want to do anything that would disrupt him being a dad. Um, the only reason why we don't communicate is because every time we tried to just coordinate things with our son, it was getting to the point to where the private belittling was happening in front of my son, our son, excuse me. And I did not want our son to see examples of people who could not get along. In the future, are we going to be able to get along, talk, coordinate? Yes. But at this point in time, the emotions are too high. on his end, and I couldn't subject my son, our son, to seeing us behave that in that manner. So we have family members on each side for drop off, pick up. We're trying to coordinate as best as possible. I get him to his dad, no matter what, because he needs that time with dad. And I try to teach my son I keep saying I try to teach our son all the time that mommy and dad has to heal. Mom's going to heal. Dad is going to heal. This is not your fault. It has nothing to do with you, but we need to be healed, whole people in order to be the best parents that God wants us to be to you. And so I try not to disrupt his life. I try not to disrupt anything with his father because he needs his father, because I can only be a mom. I can be three things: a woman, well, I would used to pray, God help me be a woman first, a wife, and a mother. So those were the three things I said I could only be. Um, Now I can just be a woman and a mother to my son, and that's kind of what brings me here today on my healing journey. I do wish him his father the best. Um, Things are pretty good here. My support network. So many people told me they supported me that I didn't know. Um, they they just were waiting for me to come back to myself. And I've had so many family members, friends go, "Man, you are back." And I'm like, "I'm back." So it's joyous for me to be at the point, and everyone is not gonna have a divorce. Some people are going to make it. I thought I was going to make it, but it got to a point where I had to accept that I was always his, but he was just never mine. And I had to let it go.
Bree, that was so powerful, and I thank you so much for sharing that. I want to say congratulations on your healing and the journey that you're on. You mentioned that you may get a lot of flack for not taking, maybe what was due to you, taking, below what you said below the minimum.
I
Uh,
took the Alabama minimum
Alabama,
for child support.
you're not gonna get a lot of flack from me, and I tell you that right now. You're not, and I'll actually want to salute you for that because you saw the bigger purpose, and there are instances definitely where the husband, okay, if you're gonna stick it to me, then f you and them kids, it just. But you see the bigger picture, and I really salute you for that.